that we can look at for the past 6 months. When we look at the program, originally we signed up 98 students. Of those 98 students, 49 were dropouts, which considered they weren't in school during the 9-10 school year. So that means they earned 0 credits, did not attend anywhere last year. Of those 98 original students, we did have 4 leave the program. 1 moved out of state, 2 went to return to their original high schools, and 1 unfortunately just decided that the program wasn't for him and neither was the school. As of right now, we currently have 6 students that can graduate by June 2011. Now, remind you that all of these students were definitely behind and off track when they went into the program. The way that we measure success is the weekly mentor reports. Mentors have to turn in how many contact hours they have with their students or how many emails they have there with their students, how many artifacts are turned in. There's also records kept of additional expert and team leaders contacts. The team leaders contact their researchers daily sometimes. The researchers feel the team leaders have the ability to solve all the world's problems, and sometimes they do. So between all the contacts and all the team leaders have to keep track of all of those, and they go into the grading log. We also keep lab attendance at Willow Run. When I counted the program, we have run the lab 15 weeks, and so the number of lab visits per student, you can see on the screen that we well over once a week per kid for most of the researchers. As we looked in the history of the credits earned for the current researchers, last year, in the full year, we can see that we had 64 students or researchers who did not earn 1 credit. They earned less than 1 credit. Now, that number includes the 49 that did not attend school. But as you can see now, we have researchers that earned over 1 credit and 3.75 credits in a part year. And realistically, when we look at it, we need to make sure that we realize these researchers got put into the program by count day. A lot of them did not have internet connectivity until October because of the way the Comcast was set up. And so really they weren't turning in projects until October, November, and they weren't engaged in the program. So really they've started earning credits November, December, and January. So although it looks right at the moment like they're not on track, they really only worked 3 months in the year so far. I would like now to have Deshaun come up and say a few words. He's a researcher in the program. He was one of our Willow Run High School students last year, and so now he's moved into the way, and he's doing an excellent job right now. So I just kind of want him to say what this has done for him and how he likes to talk about the program.
Hey, how y'all doing? I want to thank y'all for your support of the WAY program. I started the WAY program not attending my children high school. I wasn't going to attend because I didn't think I was going to make it. But as it started, I heard about the WAY program and I signed up for it. When I signed up for it, I didn't really want to go, but as I started doing it, I started to like it. So as I started promoting the lab, I started to see it was nice, helpful, very thoughtful. When it comes to projects, if you need something, if you can't find something in the way, learning environment, projects, if you got some of your own or something you're thinking about, then it's a way that you can make it into a project by asking an expert or a mentor that's part of that, part of the subject. And it helped me because if this wasn't probably available, I think that I was not going to be in school this year. So this being available, it kept me in school, it kept me out of trouble. I go to school every day, or maybe 3 times, 4 times. But you only got to go twice a week, but I still push it. I ain't got that many months. It's my last year, so it's very helpful people. So I want to thank y'all, appreciate y'all for y'all support.
the data where we are now and what are the plans for the 2011-2012 school year. Number of steps. One is ISD is contracted with a third party to begin an initial program evaluation. If you still have the documentation from the fall when we did the draft evaluation, then that's actually what we'll be working on and taking a look at. So there'll be some qualitative measures as well as looking at the credits or those things. The plan at this point for next year is to maintain the two sites, both of Will Run and Stone High School in Harvard, as well as circle back. One of the barriers we run into quite regularly is difficulty for some researchers getting to lab because transportation is difficulty from home. That's true across the county. And so we're looking at what other ways to remove some of those barriers and exploring the possibility of opening up some community sites in the local libraries. So it's also a nice place where we can help researchers open additional resources outside of the educational program. Also looking at expanding and enrolling an additional 200 to 225 students to bring the number up to about 450 students. Beginning that enrollment process of the initial home visits in the late spring of 2011. ISD is also working with the local districts to move towards a proposed consortium model. More documentation to come. And then circling back and making sure that we're improving delivery of special education services and some of the additional support services that we've identified a need for, and run into a little bit of a struggle coordinating with the local district. So those are really the plans. Oh, we left off applying for the year-round waiver, which is underway as well. Funding and budget. The goal for the program as a whole is 100% or less of the foundation allowance. This current year is about 111% of foundation allowance. The ISD is covering that for this fiscal year. Next year, again, looks likely about 100%. But in year 3, it's projected to be less than foundation allowance, and then the ISD subsidizing that overage will be recouped in that third year when it's slightly less than foundation allowance. Items impacting the budget, of course, are the contractual agreements and how the consortium agreement is structured, and the special education costs as well. We want to make sure that the special education costs are in the budget is truly reflected, so that we're making sure we take that budget and what it really takes to educate all of the students in the program, so it's an accurate budget. Questions? The initial 230-ish students came primarily from lists that the local districts provided. The team leaders did a lot of pounding the pavement, knocking on doors, calling from the list of students who dropped out of school. And what we found after the first few visits and a lot of those phone calls is it really snowballed. We went into a home, and then you talk to one student, and you say, hey, my brother dropped out last year. Or and then if you're walking back to the car, they get a phone call. Hey, you were just at my friend's house. I'm interested in this program. So it's snowballed from there, and right now the wait list is at about 170, and that's without any additional